Good evening, Chair Bergen, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood. The Roselle issue where you guaranteed the bonding of the Minded Body project came to me as perplexing after listening to the myriad. There's so many residents of Roselle that came and spoke that there's some financial issues. I don't think anybody says they don't want something, but I mean it's the financial price tag and the cost of what will be imposed upon the town of Roselle that seems to be the most concern of the residents. You know, financially, you know, if you look at all the criteria, yes, you can consider them maybe a low-income town. I don't know, you know, not to sound terrible about it, but what perplexes me is your voting. You know, it was 7-1. Freeholder Estrada, in his reasoning, said that, you know, he looked at the financials, which I'm going to have to Oprah because I'm going to have to take a look at the financials also. But he didn't feel comfortable with them, and so he voted no. Many residents of Roselle appreciated that. Now, as I've been coming here, I don't recall if Freeholder Estrada was chairman of the budget committee any year, so I don't know if he's fully cognizant of all financials and how it works. So, but I mean, I do understand his voting no, you know, and I tend to agree with him automatically. The only other freeholder that actually spoke. Were you ever a budget chair?
Twice.
How long ago?
Okay.
Okay, so long. I'm very sorry.
Make your comment.
Oh yes. The only other person was Freeholder Hudak, who spoke on the finances, and he was a budget chair. But I mean, unfortunately, when he was chair, it was the largest tax increase to the county residents in the history of the county. So I mean, he said he was comfortable with the numbers. That really means, you know, we might as well just dismiss it because, you know, obviously he can't control taxes. So, but anyway, but the other people, I'm talking about the other people who voted yes, and the question, none of them actually gave a reason why. You know, for the people of Roselle who left and were very confused and saddened and disheartened by what went on. I mean, I think all these other freeholders, I mean, the first question is, did any of them really look at the financials? That's the first question. I would hope they did, but I mean, I'd really like to hear it from everybody, yes or no, and maybe the reason as to why they voted yes. If anything, that is owed to the residents of Roselle. You know, Freeholder Hudak and Freeholder Estrada answered. Nobody else really gave any answer for these disheartened residents. So, I mean, if possible, I mean, we'd really like to hear from the rest of the freeholders and the chair, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Any other members of the public who wish to comment on any public issue at this time?
Brandon here, Roselle. Just to follow up the questions I started asking earlier, as far as with the new bond council coming in, kind of if there's just an update on what the status of the project is, where we're at, and actually that moving forward, what, you know, that change in bond council means to the project. A bit curious as to, you know, you said there was a conversation had between Rogert, McCarthy, and the board, and then they kind of just submitted a letter that they were off the project. I'm curious why that conversation was had in the first place. What led to, you know, after such a long time, at some point, you know, they either knew at the beginning of the project there was a conflict, or, you know, months and months, years into this, all of a sudden they find out there's a conflict, or they decide to back off the project. It seems odd, in my opinion. I did want to clarify, I know I maybe upset a few people at the end of the last meeting questioning, you know, campaign contributions, things like that. And I think a lot of the people on the other side of this project that support it will claim that anyone who's against it is out for, you know, political reasons, or, you know, trying to make a statement and not really caring about the project. I just want to say that's, you know, entirely not true. At the last meeting, I actually came from around the corner at Trinitas. My grandfather was in the hospital. He actually passed a few days later. So, for anyone to suggest that anyone who's against this project is just trying to, exact political retribution on assembly people or this board is absurd. We come here, we go to council meetings in Roselle, the Board of Ed meetings, because we care about the actual impact this project is going to have on not just us, but the 22,000 people in Roselle. So I just want to make that, that statement. And as capital D Democrats, we often will look at, federal and national politicians, McConnell's and Paul Ryan's, and question their ethics and, say they don't want to move forward or keep Obamacare, or say that they don't want to, move towards single-payer health systems because they get tons of money from, the big players in the healthcare industry. So, at a local level, we have to look at the same thing. We have to look at every aspect of the project and where money's going and where money's coming from, and we have to question it. We can't, as Democrats, yell at the Republicans at a federal level and say, they're so bad. They might have, people in their pockets, and not at least do our homework here and, ask the question. I'm not suggesting that anything was done illegally or anything was unethical. I'd love to believe that the best people are on these projects and that the best interests of the Roselle residents are being taken into account. But without asking questions and without doing the homework, you just get left behind. And, a few meetings back, it was before Freeholder Mirabella was here, I mentioned a letter I had on my wall from him it was September of 2003, actually. I went to the Junior National Youth Leadership Conference in DC when I was about 11. And I guess they put out some type of memo to the county or something that I sent out when I was younger, my parents did. But she sent me a letter and thanked me for being involved and taking a step towards the unity. And I just wanted to share that story again now that he was here at the meeting. So, just a general update on that project, what this bond council change actually means going forward, and if there's any more clarity on why, or what type of conflict of interest, or what exactly led to Roger, after such a long period, deciding now to step aside, would be appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. What the change of bond council means to the project, nothing. It's a change in representation, but it won't affect the project going forward. The status of the project is that there's litigation pending. Motions to dismiss by the various defendants were scheduled for tomorrow. The judge has moved them to next Friday. So at this point, the litigation is the only thing that's happening as far as the county is concerned in this project. So at the moment, it's in a holding pattern. I just want to address the other thing you said, and that is, I have not heard from any member of this body addressing the public who has ever said that those who are opposed to this project are doing it for political purposes. And I think I can speak for the entire board when I say we listen to all of the citizens, we take them seriously, and then we make our decision. But so there may be somebody out there who's saying that there's a political agenda, but you haven't heard it from this board. We're listening to the facts and voting how we believe is correct. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on any?
Denise Wilkerson, Roselle, New Jersey. I just want to say thank you for listening to us as we came to the board, and if need be, as we continue to come to the board. And this is the people who are working and coming out tirelessly for the movement to do what we believe is right for the town. We all have good intentions. It's because we believe in what it is that we're doing. And through the chairman, I just want to say about Mr. Bernier, a young man who came back from college and committed himself to his town. And as I watched him, tear up and still come to meetings, while his grandfather was sick, not knowing if he got back to the hospital what would happen. I just want to say that that's the kind of passion that we have for this. And I think about all the people who, I get calls daily about people who are either in a sheriff's sale state or in some state of foreclosure. I say that every time because it's so real. And it's hard when you see people on the street walking down your block and they want to hug and people are tearing up. And so we always come with the utmost respect for you. It's just that there's a real thing happening on the ground. And I appreciate the advice given in the last meeting, which is you're acting on what was requested by the leadership in our borough. And, that if we have issue, that is where it is. And I think residents are ready to bring about change there. And so thank you for the advice of understanding where, the issue lies, and we'll be taking that up at the local level. But again, this is really about passion for what is right for the residents because we see it on the ground and never an intent to be disrespectful to the board at all. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I said this last week, I think that all those commenting last week were respectful and thoughtful, and the board does greatly appreciate that. Any other